Good day to everyone who is tuning in to this webinar, which includes both leaders at schools using the Rick Hansen Foundation School Program Resources and leaders at schools using the Our School Survey. I would like to welcome you to today's joint webinar presented by the Rick Hansen Foundation and the Learning Bar, using evidence to improve physical inclusivity in schools and drive change. My name is Stephanie Bernigis, and I'm an Account Success Manager at the Learning Bar. Also presenting today is Marika Van Dommelen, who is the Regional Coordinator with the Rick Hansen Foundation School Program. Marika, would you like to say a few words?
Hi, Stephanie. Thanks. My name is Marika Van Dommelen. I am the Program Coordinator for BC and the Yukon for the Rick Hansen School Program. And I'm the person that anybody who's interested in has any questions or has any interest in the school program in BC or the Yukon can contact me directly. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you. So today's webinar, we will provide an overview on how you can first learn about physical and social barriers facing your students. Second, use the Our School survey to capture your students' feedback to inform school planning. Third, how the tools and resources provided by the Rick Hansen Foundation School Program can empower students and staff to drive positive change in your school. And finally, we will share how you can get involved in this wonderful opportunity. So I'd like to start by introducing our two founders, Dr. Douglas Wilms and Rick Hansen. The drive and passion of both of our leaders are apparent in these quotes. So from Dr. Douglas Wilms, we are excited about working with the Rick Hansen Foundation and what this means for educators across Canada. Working together allows us to help schools understand whether they are providing equal opportunities for all children to thrive. And from Rick Hansen, this is the first time educators will have the ability to measure their students' awareness of barriers and their willingness to create positive change in their communities. This partnership will enable us to inspire a new generation of champions for inclusion and accessibility. These quotes really help to set the scene for the work we are doing together. The Learning Bar and the Rick Hansen Foundation began collaborating in 2017 on how to improve outcomes for children with physical disabilities in Canadian schools. Both organizations have remarkably similar visions. The Rick Hansen Foundation's vision is to establish an inclusive world where people with disabilities are living to their full potential. And the Learning Bar's vision is to give all children the opportunity to thrive. The Rick Hansen Foundation School Program has the best in-class resources and expertise to help schools increase disability awareness, accessibility, and inclusion, and to empower young people to make a difference in their school, community, and the world. The Learning Bar has the expertise and survey platform to provide data to schools to support evidence-based school improvement planning. So what did our partnership achieve? We worked together to develop new content within the Our School Secondary Student Survey, focused on topics of awareness, acceptance, and action to allow educators to gauge the barriers facing students with physical disabilities. In 2016, 3,500 schools used the Our School survey in Canada, and over 500 of these schools included our original disability measure in their secondary survey. Our in-house research team examined the results, and the key findings highlighted that students with disabilities are 21% less likely to feel a positive sense of belonging in their school. They are 3 times more likely to experience physical bullying in school compared to students without a disability. So this is 24% versus 8%. Students with disabilities experience 17% lower rate of positive relationships with their peers at school, and almost 1 in 3 students felt excluded from school activities and learning opportunities by other students. While the school statistics alone are alarming, align these with the Rick Hansen Foundation's data, which summarizes that currently 1 in 7 Canadians have a disability, and that number will rise to 1 in 5 by 2036. Accessibility is a fundamental barrier for people with disabilities, affecting their mobility, vision, and hearing. For the first time ever in our country, there are now more people aged 65 and over than 15 and younger. When disability is caused by birth, an accident or injury, an illness, or the natural effects of aging, anyone can be affected at any time. When an accessible built environment accommodates everyone: small children, parents with strollers, older adults and seniors, and people with temporary and permanent disabilities, and is inclusive of people's needs across their lifespan. When we remove barriers in the built environment, we are creating a country where all Canadians have a real and fair chance at success. The case for making Canada more accessible is not only an issue of human rights and equality, but it makes good business and social sense. More than 400,000 people with disabilities have the potential and willingness to work but are not employed, and almost half of these potential workers are post-secondary graduates. So now we will focus more on our first main objective of our work together, to help educators and schools learn about physical and social barriers that are facing children with physical disabilities. For the benefit of the Rick Hansen Foundation School program clientele, when most educators hear of a survey that is being implemented in their school, they tend to have a negative reaction. There are many reasons for this that all contribute in one way to another to a belief that the school will not benefit from the process. In many cases, for example, researchers will take months or even years to analyze the data before returning the results to the school. By not having access to the findings in a timely manner, the learning leaders at the school are simply unable to act. By contrast, the powerful reports on accessibility and inclusivity at your school or district, created through this partnership, will be available to each school within 2 days to make it possible to plan appropriate interventions or implement the necessary resources while the results are still fresh. This optimizes the chances of having immediate and positive impact. The Our School survey, developed by the Learning Bar, uses a variety of information sources to provide schools with data they need to achieve positive change. For today, we will concentrate on the student survey. Over 7 million students across Canada have used the Our School survey to provide their insight into factors impacting school climate and learning outcomes. Again, the point of this initiative is to be able to easily interpret the findings, develop appropriate school improvement strategies, and implement relevant Rick Hansen Foundation school program learning resources based on the evidence from your students. Now we will take a look at the second main objective of our partnership, to help educators capture student voice and use the data to improve outcomes of students with physical disabilities, other subpopulations in the school, and the entire student body. So what is the Our School survey? It is a survey to measure well-being, bullying and exclusion, engagement, classroom environment, and other factors known to affect learning outcomes. The survey is implemented to support student learning and help guide school-level improvement. And we do this by measuring and reporting on important factors in a timely basis. So the real main goal of the Our School survey is to inform school improvement. So how do we achieve positive and practical change in our schools? We listen to what students have to say by asking a series of research-based questions that form constructs or indicators, and then prepare reports for our principals in a manner that is easy to interpret. The goal of the survey results is to provide valuable insight for your school planning by presenting the findings in an easy-to-understand format. The survey results should help to identify your school improvement initiatives, inform facilities management, as well as resource allocation. And school improvement doesn't have to have a negative connotation. Many positives will be captured, and so will best practices. This can be reinforced and the knowledge transferred across schools within a district. In partnership and consultation with the Rick Hansen Foundation, the Learning Bars research team has developed content designed to help educators assess the level of inclusivity and accessibility within their schools. New measures focusing on awareness, acceptance, and action have been designed to assess student perceptions of how accessible they feel their school is, the physical and social barriers that can prevent students with physical disabilities from fully participating, awareness of the opportunities available to those with physical disabilities, the level of acceptance of those with physical disabilities, and their willingness to take action to influence positive change or to remove barriers in their environment that may prevent those with a physical disability from fully participating. This measure is titled the Rick Hansen Foundation Inclusive and Accessible Schools and is listed here on the right-hand side of our available measures under the school text context section. So here are some examples of survey items from each of the three measures. So from the awareness measure, a person with a physical disability has the same opportunities as a person without a physical disability. From the acceptance measure, our school is inclusive of those with physical disabilities. And from the action measure, I feel I have a responsibility to make our school a better place for all students. Through this collaboration, not only have we developed these new measures, but have also designed the Rick Hansen Foundation Inclusive and Accessible Schools Thematic Report. You will have immediate access to the data from the new measures through our interactive reporting, and the thematic report will be available in fall 2018. For our school members, you can work with your account success manager to select the measures required for this thematic report, which are indicated in the graphic on your screen. You also have the option, if desired, to select just the new measure itself, which again is listed under the school context domain. For Rick Hansen Foundation School Program clients, you will receive data on key issues that impact student learning. This includes the new measures related to inclusivity and accessibility, in addition to information on student engagement, emotional health, and bullying and school safety. If you'd like to receive more detailed information on the new awareness, acceptance, and action measures, or for more information about the Rick Hansen Foundation Inclusive and Accessible Schools Thematic Report, you can contact your account manager at the Learning Bar. So in British Columbia, I oversee British Columbia accounts as well as my colleague Simon Ketchison, or you can inquire with your Rick Hansen Foundation School Program Regional Coordinator, Marika, who is on the line with us today. So now we will take a look at some of the reports the Learning Bar offers. As I mentioned, you will have access to our interactive reporting within 2 days of the survey's completion. This enables you to analyze results and act immediately. This is an example of the structure of one of our interactive reports. Each chart displays the name of the measure, so in this example, sense of belonging, and results can be broken down by varying demographics. So in this first chart, we see the results for students with a positive sense of belonging, broken down by grade. And in the second chart, we see the breakdown by those students that have identified as having a disability compared to those students who have identified as not having a disability. Norms can also be applied for comparison purposes. And this includes our very unique replica line, which is represented by this red dash across the measure result, which provides schools with an apples-to-apples comparison. So this is done by creating a virtual school with students who are just like yours, based off of their sex, grade, and socioeconomic status. With the new Rick Hansen Foundation Inclusive and Accessible School measures, we will also provide further detailed information within the interactive charts, which provides data on the individual questions that students are responding to. So this includes awareness of challenges, of physical barriers, acceptance of those with disabilities, willingness to take action, time spent volunteering, and awareness of the Rick Hansen Foundation. Results are only made available to the school and the district for district-wide implementations. No one else will see your school's results unless you wish to share the information. I'd also like to note that our system has built-in functionality to accomplish this, as users can easily add charts of interest to a PowerPoint presentation or create a PDF document at the click of a button. As mentioned, a brand new thematic report will also be available in fall 2018. Our research team will review the findings of all surveys implemented from January 2018 until the end of the 2017-18 school year. They will conduct analysis, develop a framework, complete testing, and then release the report. So as mentioned, it will be available to all Rick Hansen Foundation School Program and Learning Bar clientele who do select the Accessibility and Inclusivity Thematic Report module from currently now through to the end of this school year. So a final few comments related to the Learning Bar's reporting standards. So data from your surveys will be held in strict confidence. Results are only released to authorized personnel at the school or district. The name of your school or district will not be published or released in any way, and data is stored in the Greater Toronto Area. So finally, we will be looking at how you can empower your students and staff to drive positive change in your school. So Marika, coordinator at the Rick Hansen Foundation School Program, will be sharing this exciting information with you now.
Thanks, Stephanie. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm the program coordinator supporting our educators in BC and the Yukon. As we mentioned previously, the Rick Hansen Foundation works across Canada to create a world without barriers for people with disabilities. We are very proud to say that the Rick Hansen Foundation School Program educational resources are used by close to 4,000 educators and reach approximately 150,000 students across Canada. Within BC, we have over 1,500 educators registered to use the resources. Teachers use our resources anywhere from 1 hour a year to 1 whole day per year or more, and have educators in both English and French systems. We have registered users in the public and private systems, as well as in First Nations and Inuit schools. Thanks to the generosity of our sponsors and donors, we are able to offer these free bilingual resources, which have been developed by educators for educators and can easily be incorporated into curriculum across Canada. Our resources are built on Rick's legacy, not only in the story of his Man in Motion World Tour, which many of you are probably already familiar with, but in his belief that young people have the ability to change the world. The idea behind these resources is to raise awareness about disability and to celebrate accessibility and inclusion, but also to empower students to take action by teaching them that they have the power to make changes in their schools and communities, whether those changes be big or small. After teachers use our resources, they tell us things like, our students pointed out that we don't have automatic doors, or when there are things blocking their ramps, things like that. They tell us students are inspired to push their schools and communities to make changes like installing ramps or new signage or accessible play spaces. As I've already mentioned, the resources are free. Everything I'm going to talk to you today comes to you at no cost to teachers or schools. Everything we have is also available in both English and French. And people often ask, what are these resources? Is it a unit or a textbook or what? And the answer is very simple. These are easy to use, ready-made lesson plans, accompanied by books, videos, and other tools. They're incredibly flexible because teachers can pick and choose to do one lesson, a few lessons, or all the lessons depending on their needs. We've really designed these lessons with ease of use in mind, which is why we incorporate universal design for learning in the lesson plans. So the idea is that you can take the lesson plan and use it easily no matter what type of classroom you're teaching in, because these lessons are adapted to work with a variety of audiences and have options for differentiation written right into the lessons. All of our resources are available in both digital and hard copies, both of which can be ordered on our website at www.rickhansen.com/schools. To go into a bit more detail about what we have to offer, I'm going to start with the primary grade level resources that we have developed. What you see here are our 3 key resources, which are available in a toolkit format. There are 3 themes of sets of lessons. The first is Abilities in Motion, which is lessons related to access and inclusion. Next, we have the Difference Maker program, which encourages students to make a difference in their schools. And then lastly, we have the Rick Hansen Story Unit, where students learn about Rick Hansen and his journey from spinal cord injury at the age of 15 to his Man in Motion World Tour, and the reason he'd come to believe that anything is possible. And this is a story that continues to resonate with students, regardless of age. So Abilities in Motion is an interactive set of lessons, activities, assemblies, and other resources to increase awareness of disability and the importance of equality and inclusion. It contains 1 lesson for each grade, covering a range of subject areas and a set of activities that help students figure out ways that everyone can play, and these are not simulation. Disabilities covered are physical, vision, and hearing impairments. And it includes ideas for an interactive day or half day of disability awareness, which we call an AIM day or an Abilities in Motion day. The Difference Maker program is grounded in the story of Rick Hansen. Students recognize their own ability to be difference makers in the classroom, schools, and community. Students recognize their own potential and ability. There are 4 lessons which can be done in a week or a month. Teachers can order difference maker certificates for their class, or schools can order and give them out at assemblies or graduations. They can also nominate a difference maker of the year. Finally, the Rick Hansen story lessons are used to teach about disability, access, and inclusion, and weave the story into various other topics in the curriculum, particularly English and geography. They can be used by anyone who works with students, for example, in literacy or reading programs or after-school activities. Books can also be added to classroom libraries, resource center libraries, as well as school libraries. Our secondary level resources have been added in the last few years as a result of increased interest of educators seeking supplementary resources that speak to older students. Lessons, challenges, and projects with the central theme of access and inclusion have been developed for key provincial subject areas, including science and technology, English, language arts, media literacy, social studies, and physical literacy. As in the primary level, we have the Abilities in Motion toolkit, written for the secondary level audience. The toolkit of resources has the same objectives as raising awareness of the potential of people with disabilities and how developing a lens of accessibility and inclusion for all in society teaches key skills such as teamwork, communication, leadership, and citizenship. Students learn about some of the barriers faced by people with disabilities and can use their skills to create innovative solutions to specific challenges developed for each subject area. Teachers can use the suggested challenges and projects, as well as the Inquire and Innovate section of the toolkit, to allow students to create their own challenges or projects. Lessons can be adapted to work with smaller groups or as part of a particular activity, or as part of extracurricular activities like leadership clubs. The Secondary Difference Maker program teaches students to identify and act upon their vision of creating positive change. It includes lessons that teach goal setting, analysis and planning, and presentation skills with a strong emphasis on collaboration and inclusive teamwork. Students build towards creating and carrying out their own campaign to create positive change in their schools or local community. Students can receive letters of recognition from the Rick Hansen Foundation to recognize the time and effort put into their campaign and acknowledge the skills and experience they obtained through their learning. Teachers can order difference maker certificates for their class to be given out at assemblies or graduations, and we put out a call out once a year for nominations for students and teachers who would be considered difference makers in their schools and communities. Ours has just gone out for this year, so please let me know if you have any difference makers that you would like to acknowledge. Our personal leadership lessons are 4 lessons encouraging students to identify what makes a good leader and develop leadership skills, including oral presentation skills. Excellent for not only English classes, but for extracurricular clubs like leadership clubs or debate teams. We have a series of books that have been written for both the primary and secondary level audiences that supplement and enhance the lessons through Rick Hansen's story. These books are available for download, both audio and PDF format, through our website or in hard copy upon request. Again, all are free of charge. Extra copies of books can be added to classroom libraries and resource center libraries as well as school libraries. The books are all available in both English and French, and all resources are available at www.rickhansen.com/schools. Something that we're very proud of is that all our educational resources are user-friendly, incorporate universal design for learning, and are grounded in differentiated instruction principles. We believe that we have developed resources which have been carefully designed to foster an inclusive culture where every learner can succeed. On our website, you can find more information about UDL and how to incorporate it into your classroom. In addition to our amazing resources, we have a team of ambassador speakers who are people with disabilities who are passionate and committed to the subject of accessibility and inclusivity, and who have been trained to deliver impactful presentations to students. In BC, we have ambassadors in Vancouver and the Lower Mainland, as well as the Fraser Valley, Victoria, Nanaimo, and Kamloops. Our ambassadors bring a personal awareness that complements the Rick Hansen School Program curriculum and allows for students to not only ask the ambassador questions directly, but also opens up dialogue in the classroom days after the presentation has been delivered. The ambassadors not only share their story, but talk about Rick and share personal examples around inclusiveness and accessibility. Presentations are free to the school and can support your assemblies, classrooms, or projects. We are also fortunate to be able to offer professional development workshops, whether in a lunch and learn format or another format, but by regional coordinators. Educators have found these sessions extremely valuable in understanding expensiveness and ease of use of our educational resources, and these are all free. Another commitment that we have made is to ensure that all of the Rick Hansen Foundation School Program educational resources can be recognized as best in class by educators by ensuring that our lessons align with the provincial priorities of each province as well as the curricular documents for each province. As an example, we have created this visual that demonstrates the alignment of the principal concepts within the educational priorities of British Columbia. You can see that around the Diversity in BC Schools framework, our lessons are designed to encourage understanding, acceptance and inclusion, help make school communities equitable, foster a culture that values diversity and promotes understanding of others, and finally, promotes knowledge and skills required to be socially responsible citizens. We know that resources that connect to curriculum is a very high priority for teachers. On our website, you'll find this document, which outlines which of our lessons respond to which Ministry of Education competencies. This is all divided by subject matter. So our sample page here shows how lessons tie into the social studies secondary curriculum, but we have lessons that tie into a variety of curriculum, including science, English, media literacy, social justice, law, and many other areas. To finish off my section of this presentation, I would like to just point out a few statistics that we have gathered through our year-end survey. We want to get the perspective from teachers about the educational materials and about the impact they are seeing as it relates to students. So as you can see, 100% of educators intend to use the Rick Hansen School Program resources again. 100% of educators are likely to recommend the resources to colleagues or other educators. 81% of educators say students have an increased awareness of how physical barriers impact people with disabilities. 90% of educators report a noticeable improvement in students' attitudes towards and perceptions of people with disabilities. 81% of students see themselves as capable of making a difference in their schools and communities. And finally, 78% of students have an increased awareness of what they can do to make the physical environment more accessible for others. We also found that teachers have said that as a result of the school program, they have a perceived decrease in bullying in the classroom, increase in student initiatives to improve the classroom, school, and/or community, an increase in volunteerism, students believing that they can make a difference, and finally, a willingness to help others, for example, peers with disabilities, or when working in groups. So thanks everyone for listening. Back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Marika. Go. So to wrap up today's webinar, we are going to be reviewing first costing information. So if you'd like to take part in receiving this important data for your school and to access the wonderful resources from the Rick Hansen Foundation, it's quite simple. So for Rick Hansen Foundation School Program, for the Rick Hansen Foundation School Resources, for both the Learning Bar schools and of course the Rick Hansen Foundation schools, these terrific resources come at no charge. For the R School Inclusivity and Accessibility Survey module, for Learning Bar schools, this is included in your existing agreement. And for Rick Hansen Foundation School Program schools, there is no cost for the first implementation between February and June 2018, and this is made available through the partnership. To get started, it's really quite simple. So for the Learning Bar secondary school clientele, contact your district coordinator or account success manager at the Learning Bar about adding the new survey module to your surveys. For the Learning Bar elementary school clientele, contact the Rick Hansen Foundation about the available elementary school resources. And for the Rick Hansen School Foundation Program clientele, you can contact the Learning Bar via this link to an expression of interest form, or you can contact your regional Rick Hansen Foundation coordinator at Marika, and she can get you in touch with us at the Learning Bar for more details. So this does bring us to the end of our presentation, and we want to thank you so much for tuning in. It has been our pleasure to share this exciting partnership with you all, and if you do have any questions moving forward, you can either contact or connect with the Rick Hansen Foundation Regional Coordinator, Marika Van Dommelen. Her information's up on the screen now, or myself, Stephanie Bernigis at the Learning Bar, and my information is there as well. We would be happy to provide you with more information and details, as well as to help you get set up and underway. So thank you so much for viewing the webinar, and have a great week.